Oh, we're live.
We're live. Hello, Weekend Warriors. Welcome to another episode of the Weekend Dojo. I'm your host, Ace Red.
And I'm your co-host, El Chizza Reviews. And tonight we're tackling a subject that we might have covered before, but never quite in this way. Tonight we're going to talk about something that I have noticed recently that no one is talking about. Is the recent surge in popularity for classic arcade games here in the West. Now, they never really died out, but there seems to be, at least when you go to stores like Target and Walmart and big warehouse stores like that, you start to see a lot of these arcade ports show up, from plug-and-play games coming back, handhelds. You can buy friggin' one-up arcade mini arcades like the kind you used to see outside Japanese candy stores.
You know what's even funnier? Our college store has a few in stock.
Okay, so you've noticed it too.
Yes.
Now, and it's all the classics. So we're talking Galaga, we're talking Bosconian, we're talking Pac-Man, Rally X, Frogger, Mega Man, fucking Street Fighter.
I saw Mega Man.
Now Street Fighter never really went away as a franchise, but now there seems to be a surge for the popularity of the arcade version, at least as a port.
Funny you mentioned that. 2 weeks ago, I was at FYE. FYE, it's in my area, it's basically our equivalent to Radio Shack, but for like movies, games, music. Basically, picture Planet Music on a smaller scale.
Yeah. When I lived in Ohio, we had something called the Exchange.
Okay. Well, anyways, in the front, this is FYE, the front of our mall, right across from the movie theater I sometimes go to. Right up front near the glass, they're selling these build-your-own arcade machines, and they have it for each brand. They got one for all the original Street Fighter games. They have one for the Namco classics like Pac-Man, Rally X, all that. And they got the Sega version, and they got the Midway games. But each one is like $200-something. But it's like it's a mini arcade machine that stands up about this tall, so you have to be in like a small chair to play it. But
that's what I'm seeing around too. In a Walmart near me, they're on sale for like $150.
Ooh, nice. You gonna get one?
First of all, I have no room. Second of all, if I'm paying $150 for a Pac-Man machine, I better get Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Pac-Man Jr., friggin' Pac-Pal, and Pac-Panic all packaged in.
Right. I believe it is actually that version you're thinking of. I don't remember though. I thought I remember one of them being like that. You might want to look into that.
Yeah. Now, what I wanted to talk about primarily is just what this surge means for the gaming industry. Now, it's no surprise to anyone who's been living here in America anyway that arcades are kind of dropping off the map. You might have, some of you out in the audience might have one of the last few surviving arcades in America right now.
In Virginia Beach, we have one called Flipper McCoy's. Excuse me.
Flipper McCoy's. Okay, so there's might be one or two still hanging around, but it's clear now that there is no more town arcade. You know, if there's a place with arcade cabinets in it, chances are it's like a bowling alley or a movie theater or something along those lines.
Right.
But with this recent surge in arcade game popularity, especially for the older arcade games, the guaranteed quarter eater arcade games, something tells me this could have a positive effect if, say, people started deciding to invest in the arcade business here in the West again.
Yeah, well, I mean, people have already started doing it. Remember when Undertale became flew out into popularity?
Yeah.
I think that kind of may have pushed it a bit. Also, like people's interest in 8-bit classics.
Well, it's not just the 8-bit classics thing. It's arcade games specifically that I'm focusing on.
Right.
And what's fascinating to me is that people are actually buying these. They wouldn't be putting them in the store if they weren't going to be bought. And
one of my friends has one that his dad built for him, a Pac-Man, classic Pac-Man that his dad home built for him.
oh yeah. Okay, so some people are actually building the main cabinets and everything. And so if people started investing in building arcades, or at least starting arcades as a business again,
Disney definitely popularized it also with Wreck-It Ralph. That kind of did something I've noticed around the time the first Wreck-It Ralph came out. That's when it started booming again.
Yes, Disney may have had something to do with recent rise. So the arcade industry as a whole. Now, what we're looking at right now is just these old 8-bit games and these old 16-bit games and 32-bit games. But if they bring this back as an industry, there is a possibility that we will actually start importing more Japanese arcade titles. We might see some of the newer versions of Street Fighter for the arcade and some of these other really fun arcade games that we just don't see over here.
I want that Gundam Simulator to be brought over.
Oh yeah,
Mobile Suit Gundam Sim, where it's designed to be like you're in a mech suit piloting.
Yeah.
It's like the classic '90s pod games that you'd find in arcades.
Or like the old X-Zeus machine, yeah.
Yeah, I think one was featured in one of the Terminator movies. It was remember the scene where John was running from T-1000 inside the arcade, and then or they stole money and went to the arcade, and for a bit you had John on that pod thing where he was shooting down.
Yeah.
Those types. I really want those to make a massive comeback.
I mean, here's the thing. It's like, this is doable, but I think it would require a huge collective surge in arcade owners.
Okay.
People buying up buildings and dedicating them to becoming arcades. We might even be able to get some arcades that are geared towards the older crowd, like 20s to 30s.
Uh-huh. Now, in 2010, when they were promoting Tron Legacy, they had this late night thing at Disney in MGM called Electronica. It's basically this 8 p.m. to midnight Tron themed nightclub party.
Yeah.
And they had a full Flynn's arcade built, like old building that looked exactly like the outside of it, inside, everything. And it was playing nothing but 80s rock music, had all the games that were aligned perfectly like in the movie. And they even built space paranoids that only existed in the movie specifically for people who went to that event to play.
Okay, yeah, see, now that's Disney, but we're talking small scale.
I know, but that came to mind, and
yeah.
It would have been a good thing to mention.
And that's the other thing too, is big corporations like Disney and Chuck E. Cheese and Dave and Buster's are kind of choking out the small time arcades, which is part of the problem.
Okay.
So there needs to be a huge surge of small time arcade owners in order to bring this industry back. And I'm talking like not just the big fancy new games, but we have to be willing to settle for the old generic fighting game cabinets that they just swap the cartridges out of to change the games. We're going to have to be okay with pinball. Okay, this is...
Oh, well, I'd be down.
God damn it, people, get your goddamn flipper fingers ready. Play it like this.
Speaking of pinball, bring that up. at the very appropriate time that a certain celebrity started a YouTube channel on gaming.
Yes, Jack Black.
Jack Black has started
think
a gaming channel called Jablinski Games. And his first gaming video was on pinball.
I think he's trolling YouTube, but honestly, I don't. Because first of all, I love pinball.
Yeah, I love
I
pinball.
love pinball.
Too. I
And
can guarantee you, people will be going to that pinball museum simply because of his YouTube video.
probably yes. And that's another thing. Those non-video game arcade games we need to get back into. We need to start unrigging the goddamn claw machines. It's getting
Yes.
goddamn ridiculous. People don't win them enough as it is. You don't have to rig them. Then there's, like I said, pinball. We're talking basketball games. We're talking skee ball.
Oh, skee ball! I love skee ball. My mom. That's actually my mom's favorite game as far as arcades go.
Absolutely, everyone loves skee ball.
Of course. Have you ever got a perfect score?
No, I'm not that good at it.
Once, but it probably wasn't a high difficulty one, so that doesn't count.
And well, like I said, there are going to have to be quarter eater games, and that means games like Pinball, Pac-Man, Frogger, Whack-A-Mole, and those basketball shooter games.
Flipper McCoy's. I don't know if they still have it anymore, but Flipper McCoy's last time I went, and they had it throughout my childhood. That was the one arcade I always went to between the age of 5 and 7, I think, before I was moved out and such. But the way back from McCoy's, they had an old school hunting game where they had animatronic deer, bears that would pop out at you as you're on the table aiming. You're just steering the rifle, basically.
Yeah. Okay, so those are some of the games that we're going to have to allow to be mixed in. Does that mean that we're not going to see an excessive amount of video games? No. If we start off small, we can expand. There could be arcades with one floor entirely dedicated to rhythm gaming. God damn it, I'm not going in there.
What do you mean rhythm gaming? Like Dance Dance Revolution we talking?
Dance Dance Revolution, I suck at Guitar Hero, despite actually playing guitar.
That's ironic.
Yeah, it is, but it's different. It plays like a game. It doesn't play like a guitar.
Right. I'm half decent. I mean, I sang the touch quite well. That reminds me. I was at NecoCon, and NecoCon, the anime convention in Hampton, Virginia. They have an arcade that's built in for you to go into, where they'll have like all the console stuff set up over here, some arcade machines set up over here that are set up so you don't have to put a coin in to play it. And they had this. They had a Guitar Hero thing set up for us, and I was doing. They had the touch in its song things. Me in a bumblebee suit. I had to do it.
Yeah.
I got in we group of friends. Some of them were already drunk, so I got the most drunk people to play on the guitar while I'm there, shouting my mouth out to Stan Bush songs.
Well, whatever it takes to have a good time, man.
It was great. One guy was not sober, but he still had consistency in his fingers, while his head was like. But he still nailed every note.
Some people are like that, man. Now, even if we did have arcades geared more towards grown-ups and adults, I say grown-ups because adults implies that you have your shit together. But I clearly do not. But
yeah. Same
what I mean, that we couldn't exactly do it like Japan does it because, well, in America, smoking indoors is illegal. So we couldn't do it that way, but we could offer beverages and such.
Yeah.
maybe not food because crumbs get in there, but we can make the friggin' tops of the sticks a little more, splash resistant.
Yeah.
Which means we could have drinks. We
So
could
run it
have
like a casino.
not exactly
With
like a
people roaming
casino,
around
but
with the drinks.
well, maybe more like they could take a page out of Dave and Buster's book and hook each machine up with like a little lamp post that clicks on whenever you're ready. But if we're doing like arcades, I'm thinking you're gonna have to go up, grab your beverage, and then go wandering, and
Yeah.
then have some place to leave your drink container.
So kind of like a bowling alley then.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
That way, you can still follow arcade etiquette.
Okay. Ooh, speaking of which, if you want the ultimate classic mixed with modern arcade, here's how I would do it. Have it in sections. So you got over here, you've got the more mechanical based games that aren't digital. So you've got like your hunting, your skee ball, your bowling,
Skill games.
skill games. Yeah, classic pre-electronic era arcade games, basically carnival games.
Yeah.
On the other side, you've got your classic '80s, separated in the decades. So you've got your let's say '70s to '90s, because that's a fair range. And then you've got over here your next gen arcade games, stuff you would typically
Like,
see at David Buster's modern gaming places.
okay, yeah.
And then you can have maybe like a bar over here, 21 plus, regular, whatever
Yeah.
you want. And then have a little maybe a little coffee shop over on the side too.
Yeah, a little dining area to go sit
Yeah.
down and hang out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I could see that working out pretty well. And if it's a small time arcade, then they could have like little local promotions,
Yeah.
maybe.
Even better. And I can draw this out later, just for the heck of it, as an idea and bring it up on a later arcade-based stream we do. But ideas, each room, it's decorated to its theme. So like the skill games, you got bowling pins hanging, neon. Actually, neon lights would be '80s, but bowling pins.
Oh,
Maybe,
neon lights exist beyond decades, dude.
but like maybe for like the old school stuff, have the background more like old westy type looking.
Oh, okay, like a 50s place.
Things that represent where that first began. So then,
Okay,
like
so
in the classic arcade area, you would have neon lights spread around. Maybe the wall be painted black with glow paint.
would you call this arcade Journey Through the Decade?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would. You know, I would.
Yeah. But yeah, I could see how you could do that. But for me, an arcade has to have neon and chrome.
Of course.
But that's just because I'm the friggin' rockabilly blues guy.
Let's go freaking Pizza Planet with it.
Yeah, let's go Pizza Planet.
Speaking of which, you find the funny thing is right across from the Flipper McCoys is a pizza place called Pizza Planet. I'm dead serious.
Awesome.
It's I don't know if it's like right next to it, but it's within that street. Because they're all a part of this big long it's the ocean front. So you got this big long building complex of just stores connected to each other with a little bit some separations for different streets to go through.
Yep, and honestly, that's one thing I kind of appreciate about Western arcades when I can find them over the Japanese arcades I've been to is the Western arcades are more people friendly.
Uh-huh.
And there's also like the no smoking indoors rule. I understand it's kind of a hassle for people who smoke, but I don't like the smell of nicotine hanging in the air when I'm gaming.
Right.
It gives me a headache.
Oh, I feel it. But yeah, see, Pizza Planet.
Oh no shit. Now that's not a slight against anyone who does smoke, mind you. It's just that it's
And then that's the inside.
okay. It is kind of neon and chromy.
Yep. I might as well show. Actually, can I use screen share and show you guys what my arcade looks like in my area while we're chatting?
I feel like this is something we should get permission from the arcade for.
I'm just going to use Google search, but Google Images.
We'll find the image first and then activate screen share.
All right.
As long as we're doing this, let's talk other kinds of game things that the West could do to bring back the arcade industry. Obviously, we've had more representation for it in media. Wreck-It Ralph and Tron and all these different movies trying to say, hey, remember arcades? Furthermore, it plays up something that's dying out in gaming in the West today, and that's social gaming, having someone right next to you while you're playing. Couch co-op is rapidly declining. And
couch co-op? What is that exactly?
It's where you plug two controllers into the same console to play multiplayer instead of going online.
Okay, I get you.
There's couch co-op and online co-op. Couch co-op mean you're sitting on the same couch.
Yeah.
So that's what I think arcades could encourage again, is people actually playing together. And
I agree.
You might meet someone that you connect with at the arcade. It doesn't have to be like a big old romantic connection or whatever. You can meet a lifelong friend at an arcade. Just dicking around on the fucking Ultimate Fighter machines.
Here's a screenshot from within the arcade.
That is what I am talking about. That is what we need.
Mm-hmm. Now this picture might be from 2002 though. I typed it in 2002 simply because that's the last time I remember the most of it was from that year. So it might be a little different since then, but same basic idea.
Yep. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about with the bar stools and everything.
Yeah.
The lights are turned way down low. I wouldn't. If we're gearing this towards adults, maybe we could put a pool table in there. But if we're keeping it arcade style, there wouldn't be a pool table. I'm thinking skee ball But that's the thing. Arcades are not just like a kiddie playground. You can gear it towards all ages. You can gear it towards a specific age group. It's up to the person who owns the arcade. They have to, and that's the benefit of having a small town arcade that is not owned by a big corporate business, is that you can gear your arcade to your local consumer base.
Yeah.
So imagine it just like an arcade for grown-ups with games that kids just don't get.
Right.
Like friggin' Altered Beast. Does anyone else remember that game? Kids today wouldn't get it.
Ultra Beast?
Altered Beast.
Altered.
Oh,
okay, Altered.
Sorry, I got a little phlegm in my throat.
I may remember. Oh, I remember this.
Yeah, it's a Sega game. They had a...
Yeah, it's a Sega Genesis game.
Well, it's also an arcade game.
They actually have this on the App Store, and I actually got it a month or two ago to play again.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Games like that could show up in the arcade if they wanted to do classic games. If they wanted to do modern games, they could go for
Yeah, see? It's on the App Store.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the arcade experience because
of course.
If I'm playing a video game, I gotta have physical controls. I gotta have that definite feedback.
Mm-hmm. This did get an American release, right?
Yes, it did get an American
Okay,
release.
good. Because I thought I remember playing it when I was younger at the Flipper McCoys. I love the graphics for it, especially for that time period.
I lost on that game so often. The words "rise from your
I never
grave"
won a
are
single
burned
bit
in.
of it. It's just fun to play, even though I suck at it.
Yeah, I've game over.
Think of it this way: a 7-year-old in the year 2002 playing a game like that. The visuals freaking terrified me.
Yeah.
And the music.
Hell, light gun games. Let's bring those back in arcades.
Ooh, yes, please.
Okay, so I'm sure everyone here who has been in an arcade knows the name Time Crisis.
Yes.
It's an arcade staple. You don't go to the arcade without playing it.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times I've played that game. Though I can never get past the part, I can't remember which Time Crisis it is. It's always the first level inside the, one bit where you're inside an office, you're in a shootout inside an office building.
Yes.
That bit.
Oh yeah, I usually don't have problems getting past that.
Well, oh, I got another one for you. Jurassic Park: The Lost World.
You do see those around, and that's the problem. Is that okay? We get it. Dave and Buster's can afford the great big box arcade cabinets. The smaller arcades, if they come back, probably would only be able to afford one or two of those. And that's that is going to be a sales drawback. But just the fact that the arcade is there and that it is, by and large, cheaper to go to the arcade for an afternoon than to spend $60 on a new game.
Yeah.
Now, are you saving money in the long run for buying the game for $60? Maybe if you keep playing it. But the thing is that if you're only going to play it for a few weeks and then stick it on your shelf, you might as well, if you don't play in-depth games like The Witcher or stuff like that, then heavy RPGs and such, then you're probably better off going to the arcade.
Is The Witcher fun? I've only seen that Mars Girl plays it.
It's got a pretty good story. But if we're talking like, that's what I'm trying to tell people is like, if you're only going to play it for a little bit because it's what everyone else is playing right now, if you're just into like fighter games and stuff like that, you're better off going to the arcade to play these games. Of course. Because you will save money.
Yeah. Because arcade games only cost like 50 cents or
to $1.
Yeah.
50 cents to $1 to play, yeah.
Used to be a quarter when I was a kid.
Yeah. Unfortunately, prices go up.
Screw
oh, and then they screw you with the goddamn token system.
Yep, where you have to put change in to get tokens and then play.
Change or a bill, and it's like, for some reason, a token is worth slightly more than a quarter, so you have to put in multiple dollars and you still get change back.
Yep.
But there is, that's what excites me about this boom in arcade classics, is that these are all made possible because people are realizing that there's a market for this.
I got some stories for you. One game I've invested so much time in is Cruisin' USA.
Cruisin' USA. That's a trucking game, right?
No, it was actually just a classic racing arcade game. It was even released on the N64.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Here's the thing, though. My grandmother, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, she ran a laundromat, and she had Cruisin' USA as the one arcade thing within the laundromat.
Oh.
And I'd spend multiple times playing that there. along with the little golf machine, the golf arcade game they had.
Oh, as
But yeah,
long as we're talking about like how many turns you take, let's talk about arcade etiquette for a second.
okay.
If you're playing a game and someone walks up to you and places a quarter on the dash of the game, that's your signal saying the next time you die, it's their turn.
Okay.
Because you don't want to hog one machine and ruin it for everyone else.
Right.
And if you do put your quarter on the dash, if you are not the only one there, it's too difficult to form a line. You got to watch your quarter. You got to know where your quarter is.
Mm-hmm.
So that when your turn comes up, you can just slap it off the dash, toss it in, and you're ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
At the arcade, it can get kind of cramped, so be very aware of your body, your personal space, and other people's personal space. If they allow eating, check to make sure there's a lid.
Want some?
Oh, sure, give me. And aside from that, it's really just a matter of don't leave gum on the goddamn machine. Don't leave anything.
I hate that.
When you're playing and then it's like the damn stick doesn't go back because someone jammed gum in there, and it's like, dude,
I got a story. This didn't happen to me, but this happened to my dad. We were at Flipper McCoy's playing the pinball machines. Somebody stuck a piece of gum on one of the buttons on the side.
Ew.
And it was fresh too.
That was in someone's mouth.
And so he was just like, nope, nope, and told management about it. And so they cleaned the pinball machine. But yeah.
Okay, if you're the kind of person that leaves gum on a goddamn arcade machine, you are a bad person on the inside. On the inside. Don't fucking be that guy.
Oh, we got a comment. It's from Christian. How are you? We are great. We are talking about arcades tonight. Right now, we are talking about arcade etiquette.
So yeah, don't be the guy that leaves chewed up nastiness and all that gunk on. Because if you're actively putting shit like that on the arcade machine, it essentially says to the arcade owner and the people around you that you don't care about your ability to stay there, and you don't care about other people's ability to enjoy food and drink in this arcade.
Yep.
Secondly, don't linger on one machine for too long. Like I said, even if your turn gets up and you've used your quarter and the next guy throws his quarter in, don't immediately put your quarter right back. Let people cycle through. There's more games to play.
Quick question. Do you have a favorite type of arcade game that you would, if you could, spend multiple times playing, assuming no one would hog it at an arcade? And I'll tell you mine, and then we'll ask the audience for theirs.
Multiple times, I would probably play Gundam. I would probably play the Gundam simulator. It's not a simulator. It's like Breaker, Gundam Breaker.
Okay, is that the one where you sit in and it looks like you're in a cockpit?
Nah, it's like a bank of machines. I forget what it's like. Gundam Strike Age. It's one of the many, many, many Gundam arcade games.
Is this in the US or is this a Japan exclusive?
It's a Japan exclusive, unfortunately.
Okay.
But it is great. It's a three-dimensional playing field. You select your mobile suit. You match up with someone on the other side of the bank of machines, and you just have fun.
Cool. All right, my favorite. You remember that jet ski game that's commonly seen at Chuck E. Cheese?
Tropic, like the Jet Ski Thunder or something?
Yes. That mixed with Crazy Taxi.
Ah, okay. Yeah, everyone loves Crazy Taxi.
Oh, if I'm playing Crazy Taxi, it's gonna take a lot to get me off. I have it on my iPhone because I love it that much,
Yeah,
and it's just
yeah.
as fun as I remembered, just on a smaller screen. So that's my only con for it.
Oh, no, you know what? If I had to pick a game I could play multiple times on, it would be the Darth Vader pinball machine.
I remember Star Wars pinball. I don't remember there being a specific Darth Vader pinball machine. No.
They had dozens. They had like one that was specifically Rebels, one that was Empire. You've got one that's Sith, one that's Jedi.
But now, my favorite pinball. Now, say what you want the movie, but Godzilla 1998 pinball machine.
That's another thing. It seems like all the hokey summer blockbuster movies get the best pinball machine.
They do. They actually had one for South Park the movie, and it said some pretty interesting things when you hit the score. So we had a Zero sub in Virginia Beach. That at the corner had Godzilla 1998 and the South Park pinball machines.
Oh boy.
Note, this Zero Subs is a family subjoint,
Oh.
and yet they had a South Park pinball machine.
Yeah, there's actually okay, so in the town that I spend a lot of my time in, there isn't really an arcade, but there are arcade machines kind of tucked away in certain stores. Like there is a hippie bead store, like beads, like for necklaces and shit, that has a Junior Pac-Man machine and a Simpsons pinball machine with the score counter busted on it.
Okay.
I can go down the road to the bowling alley where I can play Time Crisis or Arctic Thunder or Dance Dance Revolution if I feel like pulling my back. And then there's like, the occasional bar games and whatnot.
Right.
And that's another thing too, is arcades are kind of an extension of games in pubs and bars. Like at my favorite pub, McNeil's, there is a ring swing game that I am obsessed with, but I can never win.
Which one?
My favorite pub, McNeil's, has a ring swing game. How it works is they've got one of those brackets that you get at the hardware store sticking out from one of the wooden pillars of the building, and then hanging down from it is a piece of yarn with a metal ring on it, and then in the pillar below that bracket is a little hook. And the idea is you're supposed to stand back, take this ring, and swing it, and try to get it to hook on the hook.
Okay.
And it's great because the more you drink, the harder it gets.
Tone is on.
And Kungi Mueller's asking what the best classic arcade game of all time is.
Hold on. Oh, okay. Well, that is for me. I think just that question itself is very subjective and varies per person's preference. Me, I can argue that something like what was my favorite as far as classics go? I could argue Pole Position is the best, honestly. So that's the one I played the most as far as Namco games went. Pole Position and Pac-Man.
I am too well versed in Pac-Man theory to not defend Pac-Man for this position. I have played
great too, but off of what I've played the most and enjoyed the most, it's either Dig Dug, we're talking classics here, so Dig Dug, Galaga, or Pole Position. Easily.
Those are all great. It's just I have played multiple different versions of Pac-Man across multiple different platforms, and at this point, and this is probably just my exposure to the game, but at this point, I start to recognize the game as almost unfamiliar territory, whenever I go to an arcade, it's the first thing I seek out because it helps loosen up my wrist because I don't play shift stick style.
Right.
Tip for people playing in the arcade: don't rest your goddamn hand on the top of it, and don't do this shit because that's going to cause this part of your hand to fall asleep. Get your hand underneath the ball of the controller and just use your fingers and your wrist to move it around.
Right. Oh,
Hold like a wine glass.
Classic Tron is also a really good one. I highly recommend if you've never played it.
Tron is very good. It's like a different. It's almost like a version of Snake in a way.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it has 4 games built in, and it isn't just one game. You've got Light Bike, which is the Snake type thing, going around trying to get the opposing car to crash into yours, and you've got Disc Wars, where you're tossing a frisbee at each other.
Yep.
You've got Tanks. You know how that goes, and then
Yeah.
you've got the final boss one, which was fighting the Master Control Program, and you can do it in any order.
Actually, there is a 50s restaurant with an arcade. I know they didn't have arcade machines in the 50s, but there's a 50s restaurant in Ohio with an arcade in it that has one of the old Vector Graphics Asteroids machines in it.
Oh, really? Speaking of Vector Graphics, the first Star Wars arcade machine was a Vector Graphics
yes.
game.
Vector.
How it worked was, I believe it was blue lines was your ship, the X-Wing, and then the red lines were the TIE fighters.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's a Vector Graphics machine, an Asteroids machine out in Ohio that last time I played it, I had the tremendous high score of 300 points. For those of you who played Asteroids, that's not a great score.
No.
But no one else played it, which is why I had the high score, and it was controlled via ball.
Yeah, I played that.
It was one of the old wood-paneled machines. I was obligated to play it.
Yeah, I played that one. You check to be in the right place at the right time. Flipper McCoy's has it.
Yeah, it was one of those things I like to do on occasion. As I would go to Winks, I would order a chocolate malt and a basket of JoJo's, and while they were getting that ready, I'd go out into the back, and then I'd play a little Asteroids or some Centipede or Defender.
Sweet. What about Galaxian? You ever played Galaxian?
Galaxian, yeah, it's the prequel to Galaga.
Oh, let's see here. Have you guys ever played
has he played
arcade game known as Pong?
Well, I think everyone's played Pong.
Yeah, everyone has. I've not played it in its original first release format. If that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I've not played the wood-paneled arcade machine, but a lot of the Pong machines of back in the heyday have this sort of analog control that you don't find on games anymore. With just it has something to do with the fact that it was just a variable resistor on a stick. And that was our controller. That's how we played Pong.
I played the original Battlefield, though.
Yes. Now, I'm not saying I'm old enough to remember getting a brand new Pong machine for the TV or anything, but I have played Pong machines. Pong is it's formulaic, and some people accredit it to being the first video game, which it is not. The first video game would be something like Space Adventure.
Okay.
Or if you want to go even earlier, Tennis for Two, which was made out of radar equipment.
Okay.
If you're talking about the very first arcade machines. Now, for me,
what was that one? The game. It was referenced constantly in the Ready Player One book. It was this fantasy adventure game where you collecting keys and going through rooms, and there was a bug in it near the end that it was considered the first Easter egg or whatever in game. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I think I do.
In the book Ready Player One, they actually used it as the key to unlocking the final key to getting all 3 Easter egg or all 3 keys to win the fortune. And then you had to beat the first for that one arcade game. I'm gonna look it up because that was actually, let's see.
Well, actually, we've got like 5 minutes left, so
Yeah. What was the first Easter egg? Okay. So it was in 1979. It was in a game called Adventure for Atari.
that sounds familiar.
And then the Easter egg was was a credit to the creator. Yeah, created by something by it's hard to read in 8-bit, but anyways, the first Easter egg was from a classic Atari arcade game called Adventure.
Okay, and that's another thing too, is I hate to say it, but consoles kind of contributed to the downfall of arcades.
Yeah.
See, so in closing, just for tonight, because we got 4 minutes left.
Okay.
If you want arcades to come back into the limelight here in the States and wherever your country is, if arcades seem to be dying out there, hold off on getting every single new game for your console. Wait a little while before you can get it, and if you wait till it becomes affordable, game company, to buy it, say on a discount or something, game companies are going to realize, hey, we need to make a cheaper way for it to be immediately accessible so that we can get the money that we need to support this game right off the bat, which means, okay, let's import arcade machines. And is it a guarantee? No, it is definitely not a guarantee that arcades are going to come back following this. But if we as gamers can collectively come together and say, we want arcades again, we will support arcades should they come back. We will go to them. We will play at them. We will hang out there. We will spend our time there.
Yeah.
And then there is a chance that they could become successful here in the West again, maybe even as successful as they are in the East.
Right.
That's going to be up to us, though.
So then, like, developers can create games specifically that are arcade exclusives, for example.
Yes. After a while, we can stop or we can not just import from Japan and all those other companies with very exclusive arcade games. We can start developing our own.
Yeah. Some movie companies do that already with where they'll release console games and then they'll release the arcade version.
Yeah.
Salvation, for example.
Exactly.
Say what you will about the movie, but that game is freaking great.
Absolutely. So in closing, everyone, maybe we can come together and make this arcade thing work again.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it. Let's make it a Weekend Dojo quest, a mission. We'll make it a mission to bring back arcades.
You must find the 4 Cyber Planet keys.
You must find the 4 Cyber Planet keys to awaken. Okay.
You said it is our mission. That was the first thing that came to my head.
All right. So thank you all so much for watching. It was great having you again on another episode of the Weekend Dojo. Maybe we can make this arcade thing work if we all pull together. So as always, thank you for spending these last few minutes of your weekend with us, and we will see you next weekend.
Stay more phenomenal, everybody.
Maybe next weekend we'll actually sit down and draw out our ideal arcade. How about that?
I'm up for that, definitely.
All righty.
All right.